So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tiffany Allen. I am the new Georgia Wonder. We'll get to what that actually is in a few minutes. So if you don't know what it is, don't worry, you will by the end of tonight. The important thing you need to know right now is I'm a storyteller, like most people here. I tell stories. I just happen to use magic to tell those stories. The stories I tell are a little bit different. I tell stories about women in history that history forgot. There's a couple of them out there, but I'm going to start off with one of my favorite ones. Does anybody know what the hat-pin panic of the 1900s was? Oh, this is going to be fun. It's going to be educational. The hat-pin panic of the 1900s was when women were first allowed to go out without chaperones. We were free, but this also meant we didn't have bodyguards. So we were inevitably groped, etc. And by law, women couldn't have any weapons on them. No knives, no guns, not that they would necessarily need those, but nothing to protect themselves with. So they ended up using the only thing that they had, hat pins. Now this isn't an actual hat pin. They were actually about 1 foot tall, but this is my little travel size. So what happened with this was women were defending themselves. The media did not like this. So in an effort to prevent women from becoming these horrible women that were attacking their attackers, they decided to give them a nickname, petticoated swashbucklers. How that's a deterrent, I'm not really sure, but they tried and they failed. I'm going to use someone for this. Do you mind if I use you? Fantastic, come on up. Let me have your name.
Ella.
Ella, so nice to meet you. I think we met last year.
Yes.
I'm going to have you stand right here, Ella, and you can just face in for a second. I'm going to run around behind the table. Now, Ella, do you like games?
Of course.
Fantastic, so do I. This is going to be fun. So you can turn and face me a little bit. So I have, let's get that bag over there. I have a couple different bags here. Now I have 6 bags. We're going to get these in a nice little line. And I also have 6 numbers here. You can count them if you like. Now what I'm going to have you do is put numbers, however you feel, in front of these 6 bags. Now they don't have to be in order. They can go however you like. They can be random, odd, even, whatever you want. All right, are we happy with that order? Do you want to change anything?
Not really.
All right, fantastic. Do we know what this is? A teacup. But in the 1900s, this was known as a whiskey glass. Mm-hmm. My hat pin girls liked whiskey, and they also like to gamble, which is also why I have a dice. Now, what I'm going to have you do, put your hand over top, give it a shake, and then tell me what the number on top is. All right, and what number is it? 1? All right, fantastic. I'll take that, and I'll let you take your seat in case this gets a little bit gory. I said in case. Now, I did a lot of research into the hat pin panic because I thought it was just awesome. I mean, these women were essentially becoming pirates with like little bedazzled swords that were 1 foot long. So there were a few hundred actually, men that were stabbed. Some were stabbed in the leg, the eye, a few more sensitive areas. But the really interesting thing about the hat pin panic was that while there were a lot of men stabbed, there weren't any women stabbed by other women. Thank you, Ella. I'm gonna need a guy for this one. Who am I gonna pick on?
Pick him.
Pick him! See, I never pick the ones that say pick him because I never want to be up here. Although, Vince, do you mind if I use you?
Sure.
Come on up. Give Vince a round of applause, friends. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I have a question for you and for my lovely audience. Who's your favorite serial killer?
Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Everybody said that. It's just not my taste. I don't get it.
Oh, yeah.
I had to. I'm sorry. Anybody else have a favorite one? You're all too quiet. Netflix did not spend all of that money on documentaries for you not to have a favorite serial killer.
Games.
Yeah.
They took some
BTK.
Mm. What do all these serial killers have in common?
Kill.
Kill. And they're men.
Uh-huh.
Do you know who my favorite serial killer is?
Oh,
Yeah.
You don't?
Eileen
She's a
Warren.
woman.
So I'm trying to think of one, yeah.
You can't, can you? Her name was Tofana. She was in ancient Rome, and she became an alchemist, even though she was told she couldn't be. So she studied poisons, and I have a couple poison cards here, and I have a couple blank cards there too. We're gonna play a game in just a few minutes. So the fun thing about Tofana is that she wasn't like a reckless serial killer. She actually had reasons for doing what she was doing. See, women in Rome at that time were forced into marriages, either very young or abusive marriages. And back then, women could file for divorce. You had that right, but you got nothing. You couldn't go home to your family. You didn't get half of anything. You were left on the street, done. So for some of these women, the only thing left was murder. It was just a thing. And Tofana helped them murder their abusive and forced husbands. She's one of my heroes. So we're gonna play a little game.
Okay.
My fate is going to be in your hands, Vince.
This is not my fate.
Well, yours too.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna let you choose cards for both you and me.
Okay.
So it's super fair. So I'm just gonna lay down 2 cards. Point to one for you. We're gonna take a look at all of them at the very end.
All right.
That one's yours? Fantastic. And choose another one for you. That one? Fantastic. Choose one for me. You sure?
Sure.
Sure, why not? It's only my life, it's no big deal. Choose another one for me. That one. And one more for you. We're getting down to the last one. One for me.
That one.
That one. All right, Vince. We're down to the last 2.
All right.
You can only mix 2 cards so much. I just want to see how long you'll watch me do it.
All night long.
Don't make me get the hat then. Point to one. That one. I did say I would let you choose for me until the very last card. That's mine, and this one is for you. Now, all the other serial killers that were named had pretty high-ish body counts. Do you know what Tofana's was? 600 in 10 years. Let's take a look at how you did, Vince.
All right.
Hemlock.
Hemlock, that's a tough one.
That's not a fun way to die.
They didn't see a pattern with 600 people?
Wrong.
Well,
Not
the poison was actually odorless and colorless and tasteless, and they were poured into their wine, so by the time they died, there was nothing to be found. It just looks like they had a heart attack. Why, Derek? That's not a fun one either.
Really?
You start bleeding from your eyes. And then you die.
Then you die.
Daphne! This is actually my favorite one. This is my sister's name. I got to name her. Yeah, this one, you actually drown in your own blood with this one. Yeah, that's not a fun one either. Oh, and Deadly Nightshade. Any Nightmare Before Christmas fans? Anybody?
Yeah.
A couple right there? Yeah, no, but not a fun way to die. Well, Vince, it looks like you got poison cards, and it looks like I came off all right. Now, here's my favorite thing about the story of Tofana. Do you know what the Greek root for Tiffany is? Tofana. But what's in the name? Now, I did say I was the new Georgia Wonder. Do you know what that is? A little bit? Maybe? Well, you're all going to know in a minute. I'm going to get one more person to help me. Vic, would you mind helping me? Yes?
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. Come on out.
Can I leave my hat back here?
You can wear it if you want
No,
to.
no.
I mean, I'd be totally okay with that.
As long as you're okay.
Yes. Y'all are both taller than me. This is fantastic. So the Georgia Wonder, I am the new Georgia Wonder. We'll go over that in a second. So the Georgia Wonder, for those of you who don't know, it was an act that was done in the 1880s by teenage women. There were 3 of them mainly, and what they would do was overpower men that were twice or taller than them. I think you all realize why you're up here now.
I'm used to it, it's okay.
Now, the thing about Georgia Wonder is that each of these women only did the act for a certain amount of years. It was usually between 2 and 3 years before they decided to retire at the ripe old age of 16 or 18, and then get married, have kids, and so on. So there wasn't a lot written about the act because they did it for such a short period of time, such a long time ago, it just kind of fell out of practice. A couple people still did bits and pieces that were handed down just via mouth, and there was a autobiography that one of the original Georgia Wonders wrote, but it fell out of print, and it was just one of those niche things, and nobody could quite get it right. However, I'm a geek. I love research, and I researched this thing to death. And I think I found what the secret was. So we're gonna give it a try, and it's gonna be fun. So first, we're gonna do 3, what I call control experiments, just to prove that you guys are stronger than me. There shouldn't be any doubt, but by the end of it, there might be. So we're gonna do 3 different things, and then we're going to do them again after I initiate my power in the same order. So to begin, Vince, I'm gonna have you face the audience, and I want you to hold your arm out just straight like that. Yeah, and you can come over a little bit closer. Victor, I'm gonna have you do the same thing, just like that, like Wonder Twins, unite! I said, form of. Somebody said monkey earlier, and I just thought that was hilarious.
No.
Now, you both are taller than me, so I'm gonna use my little step stool here because the heels can only do so much. I'm gonna push down on your arm.
Okay.
Do not let me push your arm down.
Okay.
All right? All right, that's not going down. You can put your arm down. Same for you, Victor. Don't let me push your arm down. All right, you can push your arm down. This might be a little bit more difficult than I thought. All right, Vince. I'm going to do what I call the I'm a little teapot pose. And I want you to just lift my arm straight above my head. It shouldn't be that hard. You should be a little resistant, so it shouldn't be super, super easy, but you should be able to do it.
All right. Ready?
Yep. Yeah. Victor, same thing for you. Just straight above my head. Fantastic. Yeah. Not that hard. Again, this is just to show that they can do this. For this next one, we're going to take it a little step forward. I'm going to have you both face me. And in a minute, I'm going to have you both put your hands on my hips, just underneath the corset, here, so you have something to brace against. And we're going to lift me up in the air like a ballerina. Is my favorite part of the show. All right, hands right here on my hips.
Both hands or what?
Yeah, you're going to need both.
All right. Okay.
Because we're in the South and I eat a lot of butter. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, very nice. I am a ballerina. You can put me down. I'm not going to hurt y'all's back that bad. Now, like I said, I did do a lot of research into this and to history and everything around that time. And I think I unlocked the secret. Vince, I'm going to get you to hold this mirror up for me. Fantastic. Now, the women in here know this, but do the guys know the power of red lipstick?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I heard oh yes.
I've been under that power many times.
Now, a funny thing about red lipstick, British Parliament actually outlawed red lipstick in the 1770s for being witchcraft because they said women were using it to talk men into marriage, so therefore that was witchcraft.
Sort of.
Isn't history fun? Gentlemen, we're going to try this again. Same 3 things, same order. I'm going to have you step a little bit further this time for the Wonder Twins. That way I have just a little bit more space behind me. Fantastic. Turn and face them so your arms are completely outstretched. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to have y'all step just a little bit further apart so there's a little bit of space because I'm going to put my hands on top of yours this time. 1 hand for each. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, Vince, I'm a little teapot. Seen this before, just straight up in the air. You can use both hands. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Just straight up in the air. At any time. You're good. All right, for the last one, hands back on my hips. I have a feeling I'm not going to feel like a ballerina, but that's okay. 1, 2, 3. Anytime. And stop. I love the Georgia Wonder Act so much. Thank you, Rich. Now, I did this act, and I do a longer one where I talk more about the strong women in history that have really inspired me. And I continually got the same feedback that I didn't like, but it made sense. And that was, tell us more about you. I don't like that, but I put it in here anyway. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I grew up in a very small town in Virginia called Forest, Virginia. The name alone should tell you how small this town is. Now, when I was 4, I saw my first meteor shower. And the only thing I knew about shooting stars at that point was that you can make wishes on them, and it looks like fireworks. So we're in the backyard, and the first shooting star comes by, and I did what any normal 4-year-old would do when they see a firework. Does anybody know what that is? Immediately. And my dad looks at me, he's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm making a wish on the shooting star, it's loud. He's like, no, that's not how it works. But I made a wish with my ears covered anyway. And then about a year later, my wish came true. I got a baby sister named Daphne. I got to name her, so that was fine. But as time went on, I got older. I eventually moved further away where I couldn't see stars anymore. So I decided to make my own stars and make wishes on those. Now, the funny thing is, each time my wish came true. And let me show you my stars first of all. These are my stars. Now, I'd like to make a wish for someone else. Fred, do you mind if I make a wish for you?
Please.
Fantastic. Oh, you know what? I am my own soundproof. Give me just a second. Because ambiance is important. And this is a little quieter, so I don't have as much talking to do. Now, the funny thing about making wishes is they don't always come true the way that you think they are. I made a wish when I first moved away, and I had a job at a bank. A magician at a bank. All the jokes have already been made. I hated my job. It was not what I wanted to do. So I wished for a new job. And when I went in the next day, I got fired. 2 hours later, I get a call from my part-time job at a magic store, asking if I wanted to come on full-time. Why, yes, I do. I had another one come true, and these are a little out of order because we'll get to the important one at the very end. And another one come true about 3 years ago. My grandmother had died. She was my favorite person. She had this smile that would light up a room. It was like when she walked in and smiled, you didn't have to see her, you could feel it. It was amazing. And she was your stereotypical Southern woman. She was always dressed in like pastels. I didn't see her in anything darker than like tan. So I wished to see her smile one more time. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I wished for it anyway. So when I went back home to go to her visitation, I walked in, and there was a picture of her I hadn't seen before. She was about my age. She was wearing black and red lipstick, and she was smiling. This is for you, Fred. Now, the most important wish that I made, about 7 years ago. Now, like I said, I'm a geek, so of course I have asthma. None of us are shocked by that. But about 6 or 7 years ago, I actually died from having asthma. It really wasn't that great. So we're still not sure if I'm a miracle or a zombie. It's just kind of up in the air right now. But when I was in the hospital, I couldn't see stars because there are all these bright lights. So I made a star. And I wished that I would never feel that powerless again. That I could be super strong. I could be a strong woman, like Wonder Woman. A couple weeks later, I heard about the Georgia Wonder Act. So I think we all know how that one ended up. But the important thing for me, and I want all of you to take away with you, is that when you make a wish, and you really want it to come true, I want you to cover your ears. Because wishes, my friends, do come true. I'm Tiffany Allen, the new Georgia Wonder. Thank you all so much for coming. You've been wonderful.